Hi, and welcome to the Corporate Expat Mom broadcast. I'm your host, Elena Gomez Rodriguez, and I'm a trauma informed mental fitness coach. And today we will be talking again about mental fitness 101, and we are taking the pleaser in the focus. So, if you started watching, is because you find yourself in that description, maybe giving away too much, helping too much others, and it kind of backfires at you. So if this is you, or if you know somebody who's struggling with this, then listen in. This broadcast is for you. So as always, we will start by talking about the strengths. So it is a strength to want to help others, to have the empathy, to feel somebody's pain, and to try to want to help them, like help them to get their needs met. Those are strengths. But now, as with any other strength, the moment you start overusing them, it becomes your weakness, it becomes your Achilles. And with the pleaser, so that's the inner voice in your head that tells you that you should be doing that, it's usually you're giving too much without people asking, even so that they feel overwhelmed. Is that the case? And the reason why is that because you are, and we will go into that, you feel that this is the way, this is your strategy to get your needs met. So you're giving back, you're giving a lot in order to give at least some back. Meaning your pleaser that tells you to do that in your head has an agenda. It's not a giving, and the good way how to check it, if it's really the pleaser or if those are your virtues, if it's really you're acting from your selfless needs to help. A good way to check is if you ask yourself, would I still do that even if nobody would know about it, that I did it, that I helped, or that I gave something? Would I still do that if nobody ever found out? It's just me, who knows? That's a good way to check. If you're doing that to give something back, it means it's your pleaser in your head. And we will talk about it, how to keep those strengths, empathy, helping others, especially in professions like coaching, HR, or any people helping professions. Like there's very thin line where you're doing it for others or you're doing it for yourself. So let's get into that, how to do that. So in order to uncover the pleaser, let's have a look at the lies, what it tells you in your head that it's true. I need to put others' needs first. So you feel it's an obligation and you feel guilty if you don't. And this is such a classic trap for all moms, at least. Like I haven't met a mom who didn't have that pleasing voice in her head. And for me personally, it was really terrible. Like it went to the point of self-sacrifice and martyrdom. And then it became like, oh, poor me, I'm giving away so much and all of my like energy, love and attention and time, and there's nothing coming back or not enough, and I'm becoming a zombie. Like, please somebody rescue me. And it's a classic, and it's not your fault if you find yourself in that way as well. We can blame it on the culture also. Women usually in most of the cultures are the ones who are supposed to be saying yes and not have an opinion or say no, because then it's our duty to take care of others and put their needs first. So this is a pleaser's lie, and it's costing you a lot right now. So let's debunk that one. The pleaser's lie number 2: expressing my own needs is selfish and it might drive others away. So this is a trap. We keep giving because we hope that somebody will notice and will give us back without us telling them what we need. So then we are very surprised and resentful and frustrated and angry if there is nothing coming back, or what's coming back is not what we wanted. And it's like, how come they are not mind readers? I can read their mind. I know what they need. So they should be able to do the same and come and help me here. Classic. I'm sure you can come up with millions of examples if you're a parent, if you're a mom, but also at your work. Is your pleaser showing up also at your work? Helping others, hoping to get noticed, hoping to build your credibility on that. For me, I'm still struggling with that, I have to admit. Like, this is my perfectionist suffering now because I'm not perfect myself. It's When I started learning coaching, this was my first and biggest mistake. I started helping everybody without their permission. I saw a friend or a family member like in pain and struggling, and I felt compelled to jump in and start coaching them on the spot without any consent, without any agreement, without them asking for help. I just went in and like started coaching them. And of course it backfired. And I have to admit, like, I made that mistake again just yesterday. Like, those habits die, like it's very hard to get rid of them, but see it for what it is, that it is your need, you get triggered and you cannot help it, but jump in and try to rescue somebody without them asking for help. It's a part of those lies, and it's part of where the problems start. Pleasers lie number 3, and that's the denial. That's the selfless. I'm trying to be like the Mother Teresa. I don't do it for myself, I do it for others. But that's the test that I mentioned at the beginning. Like, Mother Teresa didn't do it to be number 1 on Instagram and show how great she was and get tons of love and money back. She was helping people when nobody else was looking. Like, are you doing that also? Not in terms of becoming Mother Teresa, but what are really your needs? Why are you really helping others? Okay. So I already started mentioning that, why we do that. So what's underneath that pleaser? And it doesn't have to mean that you went through some childhood trauma, but we all have a pleaser. We all grow up with some pleasing tendencies because it turns out to be like a trait. Like, if I'm being nice and if I help my parents, then they will be nicer with me. And it's like, that's how parents inflict kind of like, or manipulate sometimes a little bit, children into obedience. Like, it's a quid pro quo. There is a trait kind of imbalance. And this is perfectly normal though. So you might have grown up with like perfect parents, perfect childhood. You still have a pleaser in you, especially if you're a woman. You for sure you do. But for those who went through something like emotionally distant parents, or that they were made feel that they are not worthy of love and appreciation, that I had to give a lot of love and take care of others and suppress their own needs and make sure that others got their needs met first. If you grew up in an environment when this was the norm, then your pleaser is even stronger. It fueled its growth, and it's normal. It's not your fault. Let's just have a look how we can finish with that. Okay, so now that you know where the pleaser is coming from, step 2, see what the pleaser lies in your head cost you. So what does it cost you? Your intention is to create connections by helping others, by giving. You want to get appreciated, recognized, respected, and get love, essentially. Like, even if we are talking about professional place or at home, like, the need to feel accepted, like, it's the same. But what it does, if you let your pleaser drive the show and hijack your actions, what it does, that it pushes people away. Because, like, my friends, when I started coaching them without them asking, they like, no, 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 no. The stronger ones, those who feel a little bit like overwhelmed, they don't say that, but it creates a tension in the relationship. They will start taking more distance from you because I was not respecting their boundaries. I was jumping in and trying to save the day without anybody even asking for it. Or can you remember the last time you got a gift that was unproportionally like bigger and more valuable than what would have been what you would have perceived as appropriate? How did that make you feel? Like, somebody giving you way too much, and you're like, how the heck am I going to ever repay that? It's uncomfortable. So check that, because this is what costs you. On one hand, you're doing this because you want to create stronger relationships, but the effect, the consequence is exactly the opposite. It drives people away. That's why we need to start stopping it. So practice. How do we do that? And now I have to go back to my notes. And yes, I forgot there was one more, and I'll show it to you. Interesting thing. If you have a strong pleaser in you, start looking in your relationships. is there a narcissist? Have you married a narcissist or like somebody with a big ego? Because this is classic and I see it so much with my clients. The pleaser with the narcissist go like it's a beautiful marriage because they both agree who's the most important in the relationship, whose needs are the most important ones to be met first. So if you're a pleaser who is in some kind of dynamic in whatever relationship with a narcissist, with somebody with a big ego, then the moment you start changing, you will start it will have an impact. You will start seeing an impact on your relationship. So you need to brace for that. It's not a reason to stop and start healing your your pleaser in your head, because it's costing you a lot on other relationships. But be aware, because this is classic in relationships. What's the way out? The only way out is unconditional self-love and self-acceptance. No way around it. Because this is why you get triggered, why your pleaser gets triggered and jumps in to rescue others in the first place. Because you feel like there is that void that you're trying to fill in with others' acceptance, with like somebody else's attention, somebody else's love. You're looking for it outside. The only place it can come from is from the inside. I'm sorry to break you the news there. Probably not the news. You already heard it before, I'm sure. So working on that, you can test it. Can you stand in front of the mirror and say, I love you to yourself without cringing or not saying like, no way, or this is wrong and this is why not, and this is my default and that's why I'm not happy with myself and I need to keep criticizing myself. The pleaser often gangs up on you with your inner critic, for sure. That's what makes it more difficult to work, but even more needed. So self-love and acceptance. One way to do that, we talked about it in some previous lives, is the having more empathy for yourself and for what you perceive to be your defaults, like mistakes that you make or where you're not perfect. So the exercise was to take your childhood picture and look yourself in the eye on that picture when you were like 3, 4, 5 years old, before all of those saboteurs and inner critics started running the show in your head. So see your essence and start feeling the love for you, for who you really are underneath all of those layers of expectations and saboteurs and all the pleasers and inner critics and all the potential trauma that got stuck on you along the way. Self-love. Another way how to help yourself and how to start dealing with your pleaser is setting boundaries. That's also a big one for women and especially moms. Learning that and recognizing that every yes you say to somebody, and it's your pleaser who's saying yes, it means you have to say no to potentially something even more important. Every yes has a cost, has a price that you are paying. And then the classic one, the oxygen mask. You need to put your oxygen mask first. So self-care for pleasers is really big one, because you feel like you cannot take care of yourself unless you took care of everybody else. But that never ends. There's no end to that. You can keep running there and running yourself to a burnout. So self-care and putting your oxygen mask first before anybody else. Otherwise, you cannot help others. Okay, so practice for the coming days. Practice asking for what you need. Stop expecting others to guess as you are guessing with them, because you are so empathetic and you know them so well and you care about them so much. Help them help you. Help them be the giver. Tell them what you need. And I know it sounds simple. It's much more difficult to do. I know from my own experience. But second one related to that, be open to receive, because there might be already help and more love and everything, acceptance coming your way, and you're like, there's a wall. You don't feel comfortable accepting it, that help and other people giving you, because it feels selfish to you. So I hope that if you've been listening until now, 15 minutes, you realize that that's a lie. So start practicing asking for what you need and being open to receive it. Okay. And then some points for reflection. How strong is the pleaser in you? And what's its biggest impact? And based on everything that you just heard, what might be your next steps? What would you like to do about it? Do you want to keep your pleaser sabotaging you and your relationships and your energy level? Or would you like to start doing some changes? Even if it's only like thinking about it and recognizing it in your actions. You can still keep pleasing, but at least don't lie to yourself about what you're doing. Be aware of why you're doing it. Okay. And as always, if you want to dive deeper, because this is a first taster. This is not meant to be like, oh, and now you're healed. No, I know it's not. But if you'd like to dive deeper, then this is what I do. This is what trauma-informed mental fitness coaching is about. And that's the magic and my passion and I'm trying not to put my pleaser in there, but my genuine need to help without getting back. So get in touch. This is my email address and you can let me know. And credits to Shirzad Shamim, because mental fitness is his creation, is his genius in positive intelligence. And also Debbie Gill, who's working a lot with pleasers, because she's also a recovering pleaser herself. So hi, Debbie. Thanks for your help. And that's it for today. So I hope it was helpful. Those of you who also have a victim voice in your head, it can come quite closer to the martyr of the pleaser, then stay tuned for next week, Friday noontime Paris time. I will see you here. I hope this was helpful. Let me know either in the comments or send me an email on that address that I shared. And I saw that in LinkedIn, there's also a new feature when you can ring my bell on my profile to be notified the next time I'm going live and about all the topics that I'm sharing, all the content. Good. So take care. Have a great weekend. Keep checking your pleaser and enjoy loving yourself a little bit more. Bye.